going to talk about some Gophers nostalgia. If you want to get back on some of the good memories of the Gophers, some of the bad memories of the Gophers, and more, you're definitely going to want to listen to this one. What up? This is the Gopher Broke Podcast. Your boy Kane Rob, your boy Tristyn Spann-Ford in the building, ready to talk some Golden Gophers with you once every week. And you know what? If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button over on YouTube. Be sure to smash the like button so others can find it. Let us know your thoughts on these shows, things you want us to talk about, because look, it's the off season, folks, and your boys' ideas are running dry. Now, I know eventually we're going to get there again. We're going to get in the mood and the groove, and we're going to get it going. But right now, we could use an assist. So drop that dime in the comments over on YouTube. Be sure to follow wherever you get your podcasts at the Gopher Broke Pod. And Tristyn Spann-Ford, how you doing, my brother?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm looking at like 2 days until we head out to Mexico for vacation. So it's actually my sister-in-law's wedding, but I'm very excited. Very, very excited.
Yeah, he's got the countdown going. He is ready, and
can't wait.
I bet you there's a countdown on his phone. You can look at the seconds, the minutes, the hours. It's all going down on Tristyn Spann-Ford's phone. But also, what do you got to gripe for me? What's going on? What is just bothering Mr. Spann-Ford in this week of living?
I have beef to the point where I feel like I might have to leave a strongly worded Yelp review of Men's Warehouse.
Oh, he's about to go Karen on Men's Warehouse. Let's hear it.
Stressing me out. So I'm in my sister-in-law's wedding. I go to get my suit, and they had a slim fit suit picked out for us to rent. Well, your boy is not necessarily slim. I wouldn't say I am slim fit. So the suit they have me in, they were like, well, we can give you the regular pants, but they're not going to be tapered at the bottom. And I was like, you can't taper them? You can if you buy it. Now, I don't wear suits, so I'm not purchasing this suit. The price it's like 3 times the price. I'm not buying no suit. So I was like, okay, that's fine. Pants I can deal with. That's all right. I don't need to be wearing no skinny pants anyways. Jacket. He's like, the slim fit jacket, if you want that in your size, it's going to be super tight in the shoulders. You won't be able to move your arms, which he was correct. I tried it on. Couldn't move my arms at all. So he's like, if you want it to fit in the shoulders, it's pretty big in the belly. So it's just I literally look like I got my dad's suit on. I look like I'm wearing my dad's suit, and it's so stressful. I can't handle it. So whatever. I get over that eventually. I'm not over that. That was a lie. So the suit is big in the belly. Whatever. I go try it on. Sleeves are super short. I tell the guy, I'm like, hey, are the sleeves supposed to be this short? I got about 2 inches of cuff from my sleeve hanging out the bottom. He's like, well, it's a rental, so it's going to fit not perfect. And I was like, well, I can feel the hem in here. Buddy's talking to me like I'd never worn a suit before, as if I didn't grow up in choirs. I've been wearing suits since 4th grade.
My dog, you realize I got to take pictures that live forever.
Yes,
in this
thank you. That's what I'm saying. He just seemed like he don't care. So I was like, I can feel the hem in this sleeve. It can be let out. You can let this thing out a good 1.5 inches. It needs to meet my cuff. And so he was like, well, I see what I can do, but the tailor's not in this week. I'm like, you're going to have to figure this out, dog. So I get an email that it's done. I go in today. It's still got the marks on it, and I tried it on, and they didn't even do nothing with it. They sent me a thing saying it was done, and it's just not done. I told the guys, I got to leave with this in 2 days. So he's like, yeah, we're going to take care of it. And I was like, okay, I hope so, because my sister-in-law is going to throw a fit.
Yeah, it's just been stressful. Mad bride in about 2 hours if y'all don't get this squared away.
Yeah, he's like, we can safety pin it in the back. If you safety pin it for the pictures in the back, that'll be fine. And I'm like, yeah, I guess if that's the best you can do. I could fit 2 of me in the jacket. It's crazy.
Hey, but you can safety pin it for the pictures. It's all right.
Exactly. That's it.
You don't gotta look good. It's
fine.
we'll
She
fake it
won't.
till we make it at this point. Like,
Exactly. Exactly.
look,
It's
if this
crazy.
is all going down, I am the type that is like, bruh, you know that rental price? You need to knock that about half right now because this
I'm
is
saying.
some bullshit. I
I'm
mean, come
saying.
on.
It's crazy. The groom texted me today. He was like, "You better see if you can get some money back because that's nuts that they keep sending you back there."
No, that
But
is
it's whatever. It
insane.
is
It
what it
is.
is. I only got to have it on for a couple hours. I'm gonna take it off. It's gonna be hot down there anyways.
It is
So
purely insane. I stood in a wedding this last November, no, September, somewhere around there, right? So this
yep.
last fall, and I don't know, I can't remember what the place is called. I wish I could because they were fire. But my guy who was getting married, he had all of us go to this one spot. It looked like the biggest hole in the wall, right? I wish I could give them some free press because it was the best operation I've ever had when it comes to getting a suit fitted. And I got to keep the suit, and it was only like $150 total. So I was
See,
like, "Yo, let's make
that's what
this
I paid to
happen.
rent
Let's
it.
do this."
That's cool. See, that's how it should be. That's
Right,
how you want it. I don't know.
right, right.
It
I
is
was
what
with
it
it,
is.
but
I'm gonna
all
ruin
right,
these
back.
pictures anyways. I sweat profusely, so it's open.
Hey, I'm right there with you. But we're gonna run into the Gophers. You know, some people might have gripes with us because we talk too much about gripes. But look, we are human beings,
It's
and
the off
life
season. Yeah,
happens. It's the
yeah.
off season,
Let us get something off
J.
our
Cole,
chest.
as
Yeah,
J. Cole would say, it is the off season. But so we're gonna jump in right away. We're gonna jump in with some fun nostalgia, fun questions, get people throwing it back to some heyday Gopher days. Now you got to remember, as the two hosts, we aren't extremely old. Like we're not going to be dating back to
Mm,
the 80s matchups and things like that because we didn't see them. I'm sorry, but we didn't. So
yeah.
respect it there. If you have certain games that you wish we would bring up from those times, drop them in the comments. I'll go give them a look. I'll
I'll
try to
re
give out shouts when I can, but I want to know,
2022.
Tristyn. I
Yep.
want to know, what is the one Gopher game, if you could go back and watch it fresh, clean, like you had never experienced it before, and see it and live it and feel it all again for the first time, which Gopher game would you pick?
I think this is one that most people would pick, and I think you
I
know
already
what
think
one.
we're probably matching on
It's
this one.
that 2019 Penn State.
Yes, sir.
What
Yes,
a
sir.
rush! Almost 1,000 yards on offense for the whole game. Like
Just
Bate had like
crazy.
200 receiving yards, 7 catches. Tanner Morgan threw for 340. Like it was incredible. We were
And it
up
was a
two first
banger.
half. We were up, and then it was you got the roller coaster of like, here we go again. This is gonna happen. Like we're gonna lose it. We're gonna drop it, and then we don't rush the field. Oh man, that was what a night. What a great night.
I vividly remember exactly where I was for that game. Like it's just definitely one that I would go back and I would be there. Like
Oh
that's
yeah.
one where I wish I was covering the Gophers at that time because I would definitely be up in that madness. But that is definitely the game I had as well. I figured we were probably going to be pretty similar on that one, so I tried to give us some other options to talk about where we can be a little bit different as well. Now the next prompt I have for you is, what is one game that you did not watch, but you wish you would have gotten the experience of? You wish you would have got to see it. You wish you would have got to take in. And it could have been an older game. It could have been a game that you were just out of town. What's a game that you're like, man, I wish I could have saw this one. I remember people hyping it up. I can go first on this one, give you a little bit of time to think. My first thought was, I had to Google. I had to Google because there aren't any games that I was like, okay, like yeah, this one or that, or like, but I had to Google and I was like, man, when's the last time we beat Ohio State? We have beat Ohio State 7 times and lost 48 times as a program against Ohio State. The last time we beat Ohio State was in 2000. We beat them by a field goal. They were number 6, and the win was at Columbus. I
Ooh,
wish I could go back and experience that one and see it happen. I know Ron Johnson had brought it up on the postcast a couple of times because he was on that squad, but
hmm.
overall, man, if I could go back and watch that one, I would, because I don't know the next time I'm going to get to see Minnesota beat Ohio State, if I'm being honest with myself.
Oh yeah. That's a great pick. That would have been awesome. That would have been absolutely electric. Especially Ohio State's always been a wagon. They're still what they were, or what they are now. Oh man, if I could go back. Speaking of Ohio State, I mean, we had that first half against them. You'll always remember that first half. CJ
Dog,
Stroud.
if Mo doesn't tear his Achilles, I'm
That's a
not
win.
convinced that we don't win that game.
That's a win. That's
Right.
easy. Easy. Mo was literally about to go for 300 yards that game.
I'm
But
saying.
I digress. I would have liked to be. This is one. I guess it's hard because I've watched a lot in the last few years. I wanted to like to be at the last Axe game, or it wouldn't have been the last one we won at home. What did that have been? 2 years ago when we won it at home because we were at Wisconsin last year.
2 years ago, we
2 years.
lost at home. That was Braylon
Maybe
Allen, and Ethan was QB. So I think it was.
it was like Brev's second or first or second year.
Okay.
I would have liked to have been there. It was when we won it at home and then we played jump around.
Yeah.
But I wasn't at the game. I can't remember what we had. But I think one of our kids had a basketball tournament or something. We couldn't swing
Damn
it.
kids, man.
I
Damn
know,
kids. They always get in the way of everything.
Ruined everything. And so I missed it. But I would have loved to be physically at that game. Would probably be one that I wish I could get back to.
For sure. All right, next question prompt I got going for you is if you could change the result of one Gopher game in your memory and you could flip it from a loss to a win, change the result of one game, which one would you change?
Man, one game. I mean, there was a few this year. That Michigan game would have been sick, but even Michigan was down this year, so maybe not. See, part of me wants to say Bowling Green, but now it's kind of a fun thing that I never want to forget. I think we need to feel that. We need to feel that Bowling Green so we can know that happened.
And even with that Bowling Green loss too, I mean, like
it didn't
that
matter.
Wouldn't be the game I'd flip because it wasn't a Big Ten game. So in the end, it didn't matter. And we were one game away from going to the Big Ten championship in that season. So like in that year, I would pick something like I think the Illinois loss. I think that was when we lost at home, and it was when Illinois wasn't even that good. Like I would flip one of those games over the Bowling Green one. So I know people probably are immediately like, "Oh, Bowling Green, Bowling." No, that one really didn't matter that much. We avenged ourselves in the bowl game where we didn't even pass the ball basically. And the Bowling Green coach was literally like, well, they didn't really ever throw the ball. Bro, if you know we weren't throwing the ball, then why couldn't you stop it?
Yeah, we just run.
I'll tell you what. Darius Taylor. Darius Taylor is the reason that you couldn't stop it because the boy is a dog. But anyways, you got any answers for me as far as a result that you could flip? I have a couple of thoughts here. I haven't officially decided. All right, so some of the thoughts I have, 2019 Wisconsin game, because like we had I can't remember if the Iowa game was first or the Wisconsin game. I think the Iowa game was first and we lost the Iowa game. That was right after Penn State. But it came down to winner of the Wisconsin-Minnesota game ended up going to the Big Ten championship. So in that year, it's like, even though we lost to Iowa, if we just pull off that Wisconsin game, we're still going to the Big Ten championship. That's one that cut me deep because that team was just so special and it felt like it was our year. So that one is one of the ones that was definitely in contention for me. Another one would be the 2022 season. If I could flip the Iowa loss. I'm talking, this was the game that was like blistering cold at home in Huntington Bank Stadium. Mo ran for like 215 yards or something like that. And we lost it at the end of the game. And Ethan threw an interception that was like not completely his fault. It was like, it was third and long, and we kept running to the point where, like, eventually when we were behind the sticks, everybody in the building knew we had to pass the ball at that point. It was third and long. You're driving. You got to score to get the dub. And Ethan throws a quick ball. It hits the receiver in the hands, but deflects off of his hands because, again, it's cold. There's all sorts of things going on.
Crazy.
And then it gets picked off, and he takes off the other way. We end up losing that game. But Mo Ibrahim... 200-yard game. It felt like the pig was ours. It felt like, again, another season where if you win one more Big Ten game, if you win the Purdue game that year, which you should have won, if you win the Illinois game, which you kind of got smacked in, can't blame that one, or if you win this Iowa game, you're Big Ten champs again, Big Ten West champs, and you're going to Indianapolis. That was one, I was between those two because I was in the stadium for that Iowa game, so I felt it a little bit more, but that Wisconsin one in 2019 is still devastating as well.
I feel like what I remember that Iowa game is that it was so cold that they were letting us wait inside for the players because you usually have to wait outside, and we was in the vestibule just kind of chilling.
It was so cold.
But it's so sad. It's so sad to be that cold and still wait to see all the sad players walk out of the stadium. It's a real bummer.
You got to wait there longer than anybody else. Everybody
It's
else
so
going
long.
home or to the
So
bar.
long.
Right.
Brevin, they're taking 16, 15-hour showers. It's crazy. I'm like, what are you doing? We waiting. It's crazy.
Are you flipping one of those two then? I'm guessing one of those two, or you got a different one?
Give me, yeah, probably that Iowa one. The Iowa one is tough. But that season, I'm bad at remembering. I'm bad at remembering stuff, but that whole season it came to an end so quickly, and I had forgotten that the 2019 season with Wisconsin was for the Big Ten, like it was that we were tied with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sucks. That really, really sucks.
Yeah. And the 22 one for me, it hits a little different. That was my first year covering them, like live and in person. But also, that was just such an epic year for Mo, where he's breaking all these records and he's doing and this is like his big game of that season. And it's just like, man, Congrats. It felt like it was supposed to be ours.
Yeah. And then it just ends with a Outback Bowl bid. Like that's, or what was that?
No,
it was the Outback. Or no, it was the
that one was
big
the pinstripe.
Pinstripe. Yep. The Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl.
Oh, R.I.P. Let's get out of those bad memories. All right. Next prompt I got for you is who are some players that you wish you could have watched before? Not in Brev's time being with the team, maybe before Brev. Who are some players that you wish you could have watched, maybe either because you just weren't tapped into the Gophers as much at that point, or you weren't alive and weren't able to watch the players as much?
I actually would probably go with who we talk about, Ron Johnson. I mean, I've seen like highlights of him and stuff, but I didn't watch him when he was actually playing, like having broken down like that team.
Like, I'm pretty sure I was 6 and you were like 5 or 4. So I mean, it checks out.
Yeah, we weren't watching that. We weren't watching that. Even when Eric Decker was there, I wasn't locked in like we are now. So like, it's those. I think it's those guys that you kind of know. Like, obviously, I don't know Ron Johnson, but like how many degrees of separation. That's who I would be most interested in.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, those two would be. I mean, Tony Dungy too. Tony Dungy,
just one of the ones I had way back then.
Yeah,
knowing what he becomes.
Yeah, like
damn, I wish I could.
Hall of Fame, like help write the story of football guy. Mm-hmm. Like, that would be insane to watch. I'm always intrigued by how old Minnesota football is, because there's not a lot of programs that are as old as they are. So I'm always interested in like you always see the, how many wins we've had, like the wins of like who is it, Michigan, Minnesota and stuff. But like and you look at the schedules from 1902 and we're playing like 6 or 7 high school teams that year. And that I'm just intrigued by it. Like I love like the growth, the journey that college football has gone through. You know, like, I don't know. Yeah. I think that all those would be fun to watch just to see like what was going on back there, like how badly we're just like literally just beating down on 16-year-olds. It's awesome.
For sure. No, absolutely. And I mean, you think about it, Minnesota has so much history that most of the fans currently today never got to experience. Like the Gophers were the last team to three-peat, and they kept bringing that up when Georgia was trying to get ready for that three-peat. I'm pretty sure the Gophers had the first African-American quarterback in that like bigger division of football at the time. And Sandy Stevens, I think was his name. I think he was the first. I could be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. But players I would have loved to see, and it's because I was younger, I wasn't as tapped in. I mean, I think I was in like late elementary school. Lawrence Maroney and Marion Barber. I remember having a Marion Barber jersey, and I would rock it. But I was like, I'm a little kid just rocking a jersey somebody bought me. Whereas, like,
I feel like everyone had it. Right. Everyone had a Marion Barber jersey at one point.
Yeah, I just wish I could have like been rocking with them, like, and experiencing that fully, like I do with these current teams and whatnot. I feel like the first year I really remember kind of watching the Gophers significantly was with Eric Decker, and it wasn't like I was diehard tapped in and everything like that, but I think I was starting to head into 8th grade and just caring about sports a lot more and less about the players and more about like the teams, and so that was where I started to kind of tap in. But even then, I don't remember too much from that era. So those are some of the players: Lawrence Maroney, Marion Barber, definitely. Tony Dungy was one of the ones I was going to say as well. Bronco Nagurski. I mean, you got a trophy named after you. You gotta make it happen, right? But those are some of the ones for me as well. All right, I got one or two more prompts, and then we're going to move on to some position battles here with the Golden Gophers. But the prompt I have right here is, which Gopher player has been your favorite player? Let's do 3. Which Gopher player has been your favorite player to watch in the last 5 years? Caveat, you can't pick your brother.
Boo.
And
He wasn't my favorite anyways.
it's watching them on the field. It can't be homies that you've met over the time just because you've met them. I want to know the players that have excited you watching them on the field.
Okay, well there's some. It's got like Mo. Like
You
Mo
get
is
3. You get 3. Yeah.
I get 3. Okay, Mo. I love Mo, and yes, he is my dog. But I have to pick him. Like he was electric. Like he was literally all time. Like an all time running back and an all time human being. So I gotta go Mo. The stuff he did was absolutely insane. Last 5 years, I actually would go say Cody Lindenberg is probably in one of the last 5 years. I mean, dude is consistent, especially. I mean, he missed a few games, health issues, but he is a force on the defense, just a captain all around. Let me think. I'm trying not to be biased. Oh, this is great podcasting right now. Great podcasting.
Hey, I like to make it awkward and heavy for you right now. Put all the pressure on me.
It's hard not to go. Like I want to say Bate. Like he was incredible here.
Do what
like
your
Bate
heart tells you.
Bate was good, and I think it proved how good he was after he left, when Tanner was, kind of not, I don't want to say he got worse, but he plateaued a little bit, and that season after wasn't quite the same. I'm gonna go Bate. Wait, right? No, they both go to league the same year.
Who?
Tanner and Bate?
No, Tanner was a couple years after.
Yeah.
Tyler Johnson and Bateman were both in 2019. Johnson went to the NFL that year. COVID year happened. Bateman wasn't going to play. Then he came back for a little bit, and then he left again.
Didn't.
And then he left for the draft. And then Tanner had
1 year after.
Two more years after. He had 21 and 22, but 22 got hurt for a decent amount with the concussions and things, and Ethan came in for half the season.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So I'm right. My brain is firing at some sort of cylinders.
All right.
So,
my three. Number 1, it has to be Mo. For me, it has to be Mo. It's kind of a cop out. I was going to try to do different ones than you, but like to witness the greatest Gopher running back in program history.
There's a potential that we never see a running back do what he did.
No, and I think Darius Taylor is in consideration for me in the last 5 years of one of my favorite players to watch. But I can't. Mo is Mo. Like, I can't right now.
Yeah,
now, if Darius goes absolutely bananas in these next 2 years, maybe I'm like, I had more fun watching Darius Taylor, even if Mo has more records. We'll see. Time will tell. Darius Taylor's a dog, and he's my guy. I enjoy watching every second of him. I'm not going to have him in my top 3 here, but I think he can get there. The other 2, I got to shout out Daniel Jackson. Like I've told you, I've said on this podcast, I think he's my favorite Gophers wide receiver I've ever watched, including Bateman, including Tyler Johnson, including Eric Decker. I know that might be blasphemous to some, but I'm not saying he's the best Gopher receiver to ever play. I'm saying he was my favorite to watch, just with the amount of just quick, savvy, subtle things that he consistently was doing year after year after year in huge moments. Like, I absolutely loved watching him. So he's been in the last 5 years for sure on my top 3. Third one is got to be Nubin for me. Nubin's energy and just, career or program leader in interceptions, but just the swagger he brought, the big hits he brought, the confidence he brought. It was just like, it was all time to watch him play. I mean, I know some people might be like, how did you not say Antoine Winfield? Which I think technically he'd be 5 years out. It might be 6 at this point. Let's see, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. It technically is 6 because Winfield left in 19. So that's 6 years. But I still would have picked Nubin over Winfield personally. Just, I loved watching Tyler Nubin play the game. So those were my 3 favorite ones in the last 5 years.
Yeah, I was going to say also Daniel Falalele, but he's an offensive lineman. So it's like not my favorite to watch.
Some of those offensive moments where he got they're like, put the big man in the backfield. Let's get it happening.
It's fun. It's fun. Dude is huge. That's the biggest human being I've ever seen in my life.
Yes, I do not doubt that whatsoever.
He's so big. He's so big.
All right, well, hopefully the Gophers fans got a little bit of nostalgia there, got to live some memories. Hopefully you have some memories you could drop in the comments on YouTube for us to remember as well. But I want to dive into some position battles. Let's talk spring football. Let's talk about the positions that we are most tapped in and keyed in on when it comes to this spring. What are you most looking forward to? Let's go back and forth. I'll let you go, then I'll go, and we can keep going until we want to cut it off. But what is the number one position battle that you are most looking forward to in this spring session?
I think you'll probably have the same one. I mean, to start off, we can't not talk about the quarterback room. So it's whether it's Drake Lindsay or Zach Pyron. Is it Pyron?
I think it's Pyron.
Pyron. That's all right. We're learning. Still getting
We'll
ready. It's
find out.
off season for podcasters too. But I'm just intrigued. I think even the way PJ is setting it up, that it is a very clear, competition, and it's show and prove time. I think that's got to be the most intriguing spot, just to see who they go with. Drake knows everything. He should know the whole program. Tight with Max, should have apparently the same brain chemistry as Max, essentially. So, you would think that he would get the start, but who knows what Zach can do too. So I think that'll be a good battle.
Yeah, I'm not there. I'm calling bullshit on PJ's This Is a Battle. I'm calling bullshit. No, it's not. It's great. Stop with the bullshit. I don't know if you've ever seen that meme of the kid in the car seat in the back, and they've been throwing it on different things, and it's like if Vine was a thing nowadays, that's what it was. It was like one of those top trending Vine type things.
Yeah.
But where it's a kid who goes, a bullshit, a bullshit, a bullshit, a bullshit. That's how I feel about this quarterback battle being a battle. I think that this is Drake Lindsay's job. I think the way that they have really invested in him, the way that PJ has talked about him since last spring, the way he has handcuffed himself to Max Brosmer, I'm not buying it. And if Zach Pyron walks out there in the first game to start, I guess I'm wrong, but I don't see it happening. This is Drake Lindsay's team. He might not throw the ball as much as Max Brosmer did this last season. They'll probably run the ball a hell of a lot more this season, but I think that he's going to be the starter. Now, my number one battle for me, it's gotta be the wide receiver room, because I have no idea. It's not just one battle. It's not just Lemecki versus Christian Driver. No, who is starting at any of the three positions for wide receivers that we run out there? I don't know. I have zero confidence that I could tell you a correct guess of 2 out of the 3 starters for the wide receivers room heading into this spring. I cannot wait to see that shake out. I'm sure that we're probably going to have a transfer to after the spring session is done, because that's how many names are in this room. You're talking about Christian Driver, and I'm going to forget one, naming him right now.
Oh, yeah.
Christian Driver, Lemecki Brockington, Logan Loya, Malachi Coleman, Javon Tracy, Nuke Hayes, Kenrick Lanier. I know I'm missing 1 or 2 more in that are going to have a legit shot to put themselves in the conversation. But that was 7 or 8 right there that I listed off. Only 3 are going to get to play that much. I mean, maybe 5 if you get some depth going, but does PJ get depth going in the wide receiver room? Because I haven't seen it lately. So I want to know who's there.
That's exactly who what I had written down next. I have no clue who's wide receiver 1 or 2. You think Lemecki is probably up there because he's got the most snaps out of probably all of them.
Yeah.
But even still, after there, it just falls off to everyone this massive
I got
potential.
love for Lemecki too. I got love for him. He's a dog. Every spring he looks phenomenal. But what has he done on the field besides the Wisconsin touchdown? That's the only memory I really have where it's oh, this could be special. But then everything after that, I feel like it's been a letdown. So for me, and I know I don't coach, so it doesn't matter what I say. But for me, I think everybody's at ground zero right now. Because besides blocking, I'm not sure Lemecki is number 1 chops right now. I hope he shuts me up. I hope he proves me wrong. But I think everybody's at the ground floor right now. If I had to take a shot right now, if I had to take a swing in the dark on those 8 people I said, I think I lean either Christian Driver or Javon Tracy. Javon Tracy has been doing it at a lower level and dude looks special. Or Christian Driver, dude, the speed is there. You can see the Gophers want to get him very involved. It just wasn't fully ready last year. I think they're going to find a way to get it ready this
Hmm.
season. And Drake Lindsey's arm is a little bit bigger than Max Brosmer's, so I think you have more give on some of those big deep balls to try to really get him downfield.
If that offensive line can get him some time, that's also
Hey,
another spot that we
is
have
that
to
your
do.
next battle? Is that your next
It's
battle
not
you're
actually.
looking
It's
for?
not actually. But now that I'm thinking about it, it's going to be a long off season. We got to put some pieces together. Get
Yeah.
spring ball going. 10-2. 10-2.
Yep. Ooh, ooh. All right, what's your next battle then? What do you got for me?
I got actually the defensive end room. So
Okay.
I mean, we obviously we lose two perennial starters. So Anthony Smith, and then we got guys like Stephen Curtis, Jackson Howard. I'm excited about Jackson Howard. I know we talked about it before, but I just I don't want it to be where it was so much hype that he just busts. Like the transfer from LSU already makes me nervous, but I think he's got a lot of potential. He's going to have the size. Like being in the program for 1 year, he's taking some snaps. I'm super excited about him. But like we talked about a couple weeks ago, Anthony Smith, this is a monster year for him. He's going to be a dog this year. So I think it's more or less. I think Anthony Smith is going to be in there, but everyone else after that it's kind of up in the air for me. That's what I from my point of view.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think Jackson Howard will find his way on the field some way, somehow. Is he the starter this year? I don't know.
Yeah.
To be determined. We'll
Hmm.
find out, especially because Debo's gone. So, like, it's not only whoever was starting to gain ground last season. Like, yes, I know the new D line coach was also with us last year as a rush ends coach, but at the same time, like, it's ground zero again. Like, who is gonna earn the actual reps? Um, I think Lucas Finney is gonna have his name in the
Oh,
conversation as
yep.
well on
All
that
right, I
rush
didn't
end
even
spot,
mention him.
where it's like, man, they're just like, which way do you go? So I definitely think you have a good point there.
Yeah.
My
Speaking of Debo, do you see Debo's press conference today?
yes, bro, and I was like,
Oh,
come
I
back, please,
this man is the best. He's the best.
please,
Oh,
please, Lord, bring him back.
he's wearing so much red too. I know that burnt his skin
Oh,
when he put it on.
mm,
That ain't right. It don't look
mm.
right.
We need you back in the maroon and
Oh,
gold, my boy.
yep,
But
yep.
anyway, I'm gonna go for the next battle. I was tempted to say cornerbacks, but I just
Eh,
I'm not
I,
interested in that right now. I think Zaquan's gonna be there.
Saquon,
Somebody
Saquon.
else is gonna earn it. I think Mike Gerald's gonna be in there. I'm not too worried about that battle right now. I was gonna say linebackers because Cody's gone. Maverick and Cody played next to each other a lot, so obviously Maverick's gonna be in there. Devin Williams is back, but he didn't really play in those two positions too often. It was usually, but maybe it's Maverick and Devin. So I don't know. But my biggest one I think is the nickel position because Flip Dixon held it down for years. As
Yep,
soon as Flip Dixon left, Jack Henderson came in, and Jack Henderson has held it down for the past 2 years. Like they have played over 400-500 snaps each every season.
that's crazy.
Who's gonna play that now? And I thought maybe Craig McDonald was the next guy up. He transferred out because he left in the middle of last year. So who's going to be in there? I think Garrison Monroe is a guy I saw there in the spring. I think Zahir Rayner is a guy who could be in there. He is a safety prospect. He was a true freshman last year, red shirt, but he's got the build that he could be like a linebacker, and he's got the movement and the speed to move like a safety still. He could be really tempting in there in that spot.
That
Um,
would be fun. That
yeah,
would
it
be
would be
very
fun.
fun.
I could
Yeah.
see if they move to a more traditional style of safeties and having the two dudes be the dudes, kind of like we saw with Howden and Newbin
Yep.
or Winfield and what have you. I think if they go that route, I think it's going to be Kerry Brown and Coy Parrish. So maybe then you start to see an Aiden Gooseby or a Darius Green in that nickel position. Giante McMillian is back this year. So I'm really curious to see who wins that nickelback position because I have no clue who could be.
Yeah, that is actually going to be an interesting spot. I guess when I thought about linebacker too, I was thinking middle linebacker and kind of tossed that around. But yeah, the nickel is kind of an intriguing spot. I don't know. There's a lot of guys, but it could also be a spot where they kind of rotate people in and out, right?
It
Like
could be. That's where it
that's
comes into. Is it the Heatherman style? Are we getting a ton of different safeties in there?
yeah. Is it going to be like
Or is it the Rossi style and it's like, nope, here's our two and here we go. Like
I do? Oh, excuse me.
he's
I do
dying,
like
folks. He's
the
dying.
yeah. I do. I like I kind of like when not swapping in and out. Like how Rossi was like, "Hey, these are the guys, let them go." Because I think it's easier for these guys to, especially as linebackers, to get a feel for the game, kind of like get the tendencies of the offense. So I would like that more
Mm-hmm.
than the latter.
More
But
than the fresh legs crew.
yeah, I'm more of a proponent of like get over it. You're not tired.
Get in
Like
shape, bro.
yeah, you know what they're gonna run. Yeah, like if
Right.
you can't be in here for the whole game, then you ain't going in the game.
All right. Any final position battles you got for me, or are we just sitting with those ones and riding into the spring?
No, I think we touched on the ones that I had in my brain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the only thing I can think of is maybe the O line, but I don't even know if it's a battle. It's just like finding your
Who's
five. And I feel like we find your
Yep.
five every year, so it doesn't even feel like a battle at this point. Now, if it was like Philip Daniels was back and we got Greg Johnson back and Ashton Beers is looking like he's going to start, and all of a sudden you're talking about you got three dudes, then I'm like, okay, who's the left tackle? How are
Yep.
we getting this left? But right now it feels like anybody could be anywhere and who knows what's happening. So I don't see it as a battle as much as just find your five. So I'm with you. I think that'll wrap the position battle. So we got one final thing I want to do here on the show. We're going to have a little bit more fun. We're going to do an over under and a true false. So I've prepared some questions to ask Tristyn here, and he's going to take his best swing at it. And then finally, we're going to wrap up with some future predictions way out. And hopefully we'll be able to still be talking on this podcast and we didn't tap out and give up. We'll see what happens on it. But overall, we'll start with the over-unders. First one I got for you. Over-under on the number of players that Coach Fleck has had drafted. Now I'm setting the line at 20 and a half. So over would be 21 or more. Under would be 20 or less. What do you got?
So far, or
So far, it doesn't count this year. So far, has he had more than 20 or has he had 20 or less? Over or under?
is it just under 20? I want to say under.
It's over. He's had 24 total. He has
Oh,
had, I think it was 16 in Minnesota and 24 as a whole, if I am correct. I'm pulling that back up just to
I
make
was
sure.
thinking just Minnesota. I didn't realize
West
that he was
Minnesota
from
is
West.
16 and 24 total with Western Michigan in there.
So that was a trick question. That was a trick question. Asterisk, asterisk.
All right, all right. I'm getting more specific for you here. All right, winning percentage with the Gophers, Coach Fleck. Is he above 60% and above, or is he under 60%? So over, I'm setting the line at 60%. So is he over that or is he under that? His winning percentage with the Gophers specifically, not as a coach as a whole, but with the Gophers.
He's got to be over, right? Because when's the last time we were
He's
over? Yeah.
he's just under. He's at
What?
59.8%. And you got to think 500 would be 50%.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Relatively been above 500. There's been, what, 2 years that we've been under it. But yes, he is just under 59.8%. If we have an 8-win season this year, he will be back at 60%, and that will be good for, I believe, either third or fourth in Gophers program history when they have more than like 2 seasons coaching. So,
And another contract extension, I'm sure.
yeah, I'm sure. He's getting money. He's getting that paper. All right. Next one is it true or false? PJ Fleck is a top 3 Gophers head coach in just wins with the Gophers. True or false? He's a top 3 coach with the Gophers in wins.
I feel like it's got to be true. I mean, I'm just going to go true. I can't name that many other Gophers coaches, but true?
It's false. It's false.
Wow.
He's 5th. He's 5th behind Henry Williams, who had 136 way back in like 1902. So, I mean, hard to go there. Bernie Bierman had 93. Murray Warmath had 87. And Glenn Mason is still in front of PJ Fleck right now with 64 total wins. If Fleck can get 7 wins in this upcoming season, he moves into 4th in program history with total wins.
Okay.
All right, so
These
I've
are
been
good
going back and
numbers.
forth. I've been trying to trick you and make you. I'm
Yep,
trying to get these good lines for you and make you guess. The next one, true or false? Darius Taylor is already in the top 20 in program history for rush yards.
I think that's got to be true. It's got to be true. Top 20?
It is true. He is 19th right now, 19th in Gophers program history. If he stays all 4 years, so if he stays two more
Yeah.
years and he breaks 1,000 in these next 2 years, he will be in the top five. He will be in the
Oh,
top five if he cracks 1,000 in the next 2 seasons. He was barely at 14 yards away from 1,000 this year, and that was with missing a game and with barely playing in the Rutgers game. If you give my boy them touches, and I think he's going to get the touches this year, especially with Drake Lindsay at the helm. It's happening.
oh
Uh,
yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
think if he breaks 1,000 and he stays and he breaks 1,000 again, he'll be top five in program history. Absolutely love that.
That's crazy. Imagine having two top five running backs in the program's history in the span of 10 years.
Right, back to
Like
back
that's
too, because
insane.
it was like
Like
right when Mo
yeah,
left.
literally back to back. And wasn't Rodney Smith up there in some carries too? Or he had some sort of records, right?
I would have to double check it, but Rodney Smith was definitely up there for a lot of things. So
This is running back you.
hey,
I mean,
I got
don't get
another
to
one for you here with Darius Taylor. You don't have to guess on it, but if Darius Taylor stays for the next 2 years, like I said, and even if we just scrap the 1,000 yards, now hopefully he gets 1,000 yards because 14 yards away was, but if you give him the exact season that he had this year for the next 2 years in receiving and rushing, he would be he would have the most all-purpose yards in school history. That's how effective his
what?
receiving production was this season, that he would take over. If you add his receiving and his rushing yards together, he would have the most total yards in school history if he does the same season as this season for 2 more years. So if you think if he can just improve on some of those numbers, we could literally be watching one of the most productive Gophers in Gophers history with his receiving chops and his rushing chops.
That's insane. That would be nuts. Like it's crazy, and that it's such a like. I don't want to say it was quiet that he's quietly doing this, but like in school history, in a school that has been around again for 120 some years, that's
Right.
insane.
Right. And those receiving chops helped a ton. I mean, it's not to say he wasn't productive as a rusher, because I mean, the dude had almost 800 yards as a freshman and he only played in like 6 games
Yeah,
total. And then
we literally went like 6 games in a row. It was just like 100 yards as soon as he
right,
stepped on the
and he
field.
had 200 in the bowl game. So it was just
It's
like the
crazy.
dude has been just an all-timer, even though he hasn't fully been on the field. I'm saying you give this man 2 healthy
Yep.
seasons after this as a junior and a senior, so stronger, faster, better, game
Smarter.
slowing down. Look, yeah, I see you, Kanye. It could be special. Now, my next one for you. Over under on the number of Gophers that have had 100 or more tackles in a single season. I'm setting the line at 20 and a half again. So 21 and plus is over, 20 and less is under. The individual Gophers, the number of Gophers players that have had 100 plus tackles in a single season, 20 and a half is the line.
Oof. I'm gonna say over. And this one's so tough. I feel like you
You're
set
right.
that
You're
line
right.
very
And
good.
it's way over.
It is.
35. They have had at
Oh.
least 35 since 1966 when it's been tracked. Most tackles in 1 year was Bill Light in 1970. He had 172 tackles in that season.
Jesus. How many
The-
seasons? And that was how many games? Was that still 8 game season? I bet.
I think it was a shorter one. I don't know if it was 8. I think it might have been double digit. I think it would have been 10 or 11 games still, but
Oh,
in
okay. I was gonna say
1970, 172 tackles.
that's nuts. That's absolutely insane. Dude is just flying around the field.
Yes, yes.
It's
All right.
crazy.
Now we're going to move to our final thing, which is some of those future predictions. I'm hoping that you guys will have some fun with us and drop it in the comments as well. So let's dive into that. All right. To kick off these future predictions, we're going to kick it off with none other than that boy Coy. I want to know, do you think Coy Parrish breaks Tyler Nubin's program record during his time with the Gophers in interceptions?
I think. Oh, absolutely. It pains me to say because I don't want to see any records, but I bet if you ask Tyler Nubin, he'd be like, that boy might do it. He won't want it to happen, but he'll be like, he might. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes. I think he will, especially if he keeps up at this pace with this
If he keeps
confidence.
Yes, if he keeps up at this pace, I think he had 5 this year, and Nubin's program record is 13. So, like, if
Yeah.
he kept one other year of this and then a down year for the next 2 years after that, he'd break it like that. So, I mean,
Easy.
just 5 in a true freshman year is nutty.
Yeah, that's crazy.
All right, next prediction I got for you. Will Darius Taylor play 4 years, or is he NFL bound after this season?
I think it's going to be tough for him to stay after this season. If he does, if he pops off a 1,200-yard season, I think he's going to get the looks and he's going to be like, yeah, let me go get my money. Unfortunately, I would love if he stayed, but
that's probably true. It's probably true, especially because this year's NFL draft is supposedly like super stacked with running backs. So that means next year probably will be a bit lighter. So if he has a balling year next year, he could be the top 2 or 3 running back in the draft, and that's hard to pass up at any point.
Exactly. No, I think the stars will align for him, which I hope they do. I don't want him to hang out here forever, but I would love for
but
him
I would
to
like to see him go and break that all-time receiving and rushing yard.
It's the worst.
Right. All right. Is Drake Lindsay going to pass for more than 100 yards, or not more than 100 yards? I hope he passes for more than 100 yards.
Unless it's Zach, then it might be Zach if that's the case.
The question was, is Drake Lindsay going to pass for more yards than Max Brosmer this season?
Ooh, Max had an all-time year. The more I think about it, after you talked me into it, you didn't talk me into it, but you broke it down. And Max had a great season.
Phenomenal.
I'm going to just go positive vibes and say absolutely he does. He lights it up, but leads us to an 11-1 season, surprising everyone, including Tristyn, who thought we'd only go 10-2.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say it doesn't happen. Not that he doesn't have the potential to make it happen. I just don't think it happens this year. I think Drake Lindsay has the potential to be one of the best quarterbacks with the Gophers historically with numbers if he earns the job this year, because he'd be a redshirt freshman and you'd be looking at a guy that is heading into an offense that wants to pass the ball and has proven last season that they can pass the ball. If you can get him moving like Max Brosmer did, even as a redshirt sophomore, so not next year but the year after, if he has a Max Brosmer like season that year, you still have at least 1 more year with him, probably 2 more years with him. So if that is the trend we go, he could be up in the Gophers record books as well. And knowing that his grandfather played for the Vikings and he wants to be here in Minnesota and all that, if he's got this job, I think he's staying. I could see him staying through 4 years, even if he balled out and was like, the NFL's like, oh, there could be some interest. I think he's the dude that's like, nah, let's do it again. And then we'll look at the draft. So I think Drake Lindsay could be a great for the Gophers if he gets to play all 4 of these years.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think this year is going to be super, super critical and pivotal for the next 4. Mm-hmm. Like if he comes in and lights it up, like I don't think the transfers is going to be difficult to get with the transfer
wide
portal.
Receivers will want to be in here.
Exactly.
Maybe Darius is like, bro, I'll play another one if he's
one more. One more if we're gonna make the playoffs. We made college football. We went 10-2 last year. Like we're gonna make a playoff run this year now. So I think it is gonna be huge for him. I'm super excited. I think it's gonna be awesome.
All right, we got a few more here. The next one: will we have a 100 tackle player this season?
Yes, Maverick Baranowski.
He even put the name leader. On it. He said, "Here you go, brother.
Captain.
Here you go."
Cody Lindenberg gave him the C. Put it right on him. So this is yours.
Cody Lindenberg almost got there. Almost got there. 94 tackles last year. If he plays in the bowl, he gets there. If he plays in the bowl, he gets there. All right. Let's see who we're gonna skip that one because it's not worth it. I was gonna say who leads the team in receiving yards next season. We don't even know who's gonna be the receivers, so we're not gonna do that.
Say Nuke.
I'm going to say Javon Tracy.
There we go. Go back and clip this.
All right. Random question. If I ask you to name an absolutely random Gopher player right here on the spot, who's the first Gopher that comes to mind?
Oh, Dragon Kesich. Dragon Kesich.
I got to keep you on your toes. I'm keeping you firing, bro. You never know what's coming.
He just lives rent free in my brain. I'm friends with him on Snapchat, and he just pops up sometimes. I'm like, what are you doing, man? Like, he just be chilling. He's just doing his thing.
All right. I want to know, do you have less disdain, less hate for rival players, Wisconsin Badgers, Iowa Hawkeye players, when they get to the NFL level, as long as they're not on your favorite team, or do you just like, I don't care where they end up, except for my favorite team. I never ever root for a Hawkeye or a Wisconsin Badger, or are you like, bro, it's the NFL now, he's a stud, cool.
I think I have hate for certain players based on what they've done to my team in the past. It's not a personal thing. Like Cooper DeJean, makes me sick to my stomach. I can't stand him.
Bro,
Like
I'm
I
not gonna
just
lie to
don't
you.
know why.
I'm not gonna lie to
I
you.
don't
I
know
was
why.
pulling for Coop. I was pulling for Coop in the Super
That's
Bowl. I was like,
crazy.
get it.
No,
Get it.
not me.
I
Not
know my
me.
Gophers
Just
fans are like, bro,
he's so good.
unsubscribe. Unsubscribe.
That's
I'm
the
done.
thing, because he's so good. He's so good. That's what's frustrating about it. Is like you can't deny the skill. So like good for him. He's lighting it up, like awesome rookie season, and it
Right.
just makes my stomach roll.
No,
But there's other
definitely-
guys who I don't really care, like Jake Ferguson. I guess I'm cheering for Jake Ferguson. Brev said he's
Yeah.
cool. Seems like a cool dude. So it don't bother me that he went
No,
to
there's
Wisconsin.
definitely some conflicts for me. Like Russell Wilson, I want nothing to do with, and it's weird because it's
Yeah.
not like Russell Wilson tore our hearts out very much. Like we weren't really
but he's
competing
got-
with him at the time. But like
He's got
I
some
see him as a
lingering stuff.
Badger, and I'm like, nah, screw him. I'm over him. Like get him out of here. But then like George Kittle, I like George Kittle, even
Yeah,
though
see-
George Kittle still picks at PJ Fleck because of like a play. Sam Schluter, who was with the Gophers, who was on the practice squad for the 49ers, and then George Kittle got on calling PJ Fleck out on social medias at one point, and I was just like, bro, you do not need to fight this battle.
Yeah.
But still love George Kittle. Don't know why. Like, so I find
Yeah,
myself in a
like
weird
a cool
middle
dude.
ground. Weird middle ground.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of where I'm at too. It all depends on their personality, what their personality seems like to me.
Yeah, I get
So
that.
I think it's just that Cooper beat us so many years. They always won. They always won.
Right. All right. Who do you hate more, Wisconsin or Iowa?
Wait, it's got to be Iowa.
Mm-mm.
Iowa sucks.
Nah,
They
man,
stink.
I'm Wisconsin. I'm Wisconsin. And
Really?
it's because I lived there for a while. I went to my undergrad. I went there so bro, I hate Wisconsin people. And it's funny because I'm a Packer fan, but like, I hate Badgers people. I hate Milwaukee Bucks fans. Like, bro, Wisconsin people in general, not a big fan of them. Not a big fan. But for some reason, I ended up a Packer fan. Thank you, Donald Driver, which now his son's a Gopher, so we can get
Yep.
down with Donald Driver. But that's the reason I'm a Packer fan, and I'll stick to it. But everything else,
crazy.
Wisconsin, I'm just not there. I'm just not there.
I think it's partially because we just lose to Iowa all the time, and so that's
fair.
part of it that
Especially recently.
makes me hate them. Yeah, that makes me hate them. Wisconsin's kind of they're on a down year now. I just don't want to kick them while they're down. You know, they start to win a little bit, then that hate will grow. That rivalry will fester. But Iowa drives me insane.
I think
You just can't win there.
Iowa toned down for me because Amani Hooker is a family friend, and so I was just like, never really hated them because I was like pulling for Hook at the time, and so it's just like it was hard for me to hate him. Once he left, I was like, man, screw Iowa. But during his time, I was like, bruh, go get paid, get to the NFL. All right, we got 3 more questions, and then we'll wrap this one up. What is one team that you absolutely dislike outside of our rivals? I want you to name one team in the Big Ten and one team outside of the Big Ten. One team you just can't stand, but it can't be Iowa, Wisconsin, really none of the trophy games. So it can't be Michigan, can't be Penn State, but like one Big Ten team that you can't stand, and then one team outside of the Big Ten that you can't stand.
I want to say Michigan, but I don't know. Maybe it's because they weren't super dominant this year. Michigan doesn't. Oh, I think Penn State. I don't really like Penn State. I hate their uniforms. I don't like James Franklin that much. I mean, I just don't. I mean, he's a good coach, but something about him just doesn't do it for me, which is crazy because I usually have a soft spot for black coaches. But again, didn't know he was black until like yesterday. But I like. Yeah, probably Penn State. I don't really like them. It's the uniforms for me. I'm not I just hate them.
One outside of the Big Ten. One outside of the Big Ten.
Ooh. Used to be Bama. Just because, I don't know, just because they're Bama. Man, I'm trying to think SEC. Not a lot of teams that I hate. It's too tough. Do you have one outside? You have one outside of the Big Ten?
I would say inside the Big Ten is USC now since they're in there. I cannot stand their fans whatsoever. Like, just cannot
Mm.
stand USC fans. They're so obnoxious and they think they're good and they haven't been good in anything in quite some time. Um, and then in outside the Big Ten, uh, I feel like
It's a tough question because
it
there's not
is.
teams that we don't see them, so there's no like real reason to hate them. Clemson, I don't love Clemson.
Clemson was one of the first ones that came to mind. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Dabo's
Another
kind of
one,
weird though. That's part of it.
another
I think
one, and I
Dabo's kind
think
of
it's
odd.
just because of the absurd love, and I get it. Like, I get it religion wise and stuff like that, but Notre Dame, bro, they're
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah,
hyped,
yeah.
and I'm just like, man, like join a conference. Nobody can like just get in a conference and quit being so like hoity-toity and just pick a conference and see if you can win it. Like, let's
Like you're
see if you can
basically
really get
in the Big
down.
Ten.
Yeah, I mean,
But see,
goodness,
that's where I flip because I like Marcus Freeman. I
yeah,
like Marcus
I
Freeman,
like
and that
Marcus
makes
Freeman
me
too.
be like,
If he
dang,
would
I
have went to
kind
the
of like
Bears, that still would have cut me deep because Packer fan. But I mean, like, I can like the coach without liking the whole everything
oh,
else. Like,
yeah, that's true. That's
how
true.
I
They
feel
do
about
have
Justin
some,
Jefferson. Love Justin Jefferson. Don't mess with the Vikings. So,
which is crazy because the Vikings are very likable. We don't do anything but lose in heartbreaking fashion. It's an easy team to love.
all right, we're flipping the question. One team you enjoy watching or secretly pulling for, one inside the Big Ten, one outside of the Big Ten. I can go first. I really like Texas. I've really liked Texas since I was younger. Vince Young was like
Yeah,
what got me to really love football. I was huge on that year, and I know that was I was a huge player sports fan as a kid. I didn't care about teams. I just liked certain players, and that led me to some of my favorite teams as I got older and started like being more loyal to them. But like I loved players, and Vince Young was probably one of my favorite football players ever. So Texas is one I root for outside. Inside the Big Ten, I kind of like Michigan. I'm not going to lie to you. And I think it's
ugh,
because I want to pull for one of the two between Ohio State and Michigan. And
yeah,
I don't like that Ohio State is absolutely dominated for so long that I like seeing them not, or like, I like seeing them get served a plate of humble every once in a while. So
yeah.
I secretly pull for Michigan every once in a while.
Imagine how easy it is to be one of those fans.
I know,
It'd be
right?
so sick.
Like,
Like what a life to live. Um, for me, I'm gonna say inside the Big Ten, probably Oregon. I mean, obviously the uniforms, but actually Oregon was like one of Brev's favorite schools growing up. So like my I didn't watch college football until I was done playing high school football, really. I watched a lot of, like I watched pro and stuff and other sports, but college football didn't do it for me. But Brev loved college football. So like Oregon was always on in the background, like was D'Anthony Thomas and stuff like that, like those years, the Chip Kelly years. So I like them. Um,
just know
outside the
Breb's a
big,
real one. He stayed home. Just
oh,
putting
he
that out
did.
there for the fans.
Yes,
You
he
know,
did.
he stayed home.
Indeed, he did. He did.
Even
He
though he
did.
liked watching Oregon, he stayed home. Just want to put this out there.
Could have. It's the dream.
There's still
But
some hating Gopher fans out there every once in a while that I catch on Twitter, and I'm like, bruh,
it's
he stayed
crazy.
home.
It's
He stayed
crazy.
home.
You're welcome. You're
You're
welcome.
welcome. You know? All right, one outside.
Outside the
You
Big
said
Ten,
Oregon.
I'm gonna
Oh.
go. Oh, my bad, my bad.
No, you're good. You're good. You said
Okay.
Oregon for inside. Well, I was saying
Um,
outside the Big Ten.
outside, I kind of like LSU
All right.
only because I think if I could pick one college football stadium to watch a game, I want to go to like Death Valley at night.
Mm.
LSU would be absolutely electric. Like a night game at LSU is a bucket list item for me, I think.
Yeah, no, that's not a bad pick at all. All right, the final question I have for you is who is the number one player you are most looking forward to learning more about this spring on the Gophers roster? One player this spring, who does Tristyn want to know the most about?
That's a good question. I wasn't ready for that one. I'm going to dive back into the wide receiver room and give me. Let me think. I think I'm kind of intrigued by Malachi Coleman, just because everybody is so highly touted, and he kind of made. I don't know. Do you call it a lateral move from Nebraska to here? But the drama that went on for him to leave, I'm intrigued about how his mind works. Like I'd like to see hear some interviews and kind of pick his brain a little bit. So I'm gonna go with him.
I'm gonna go with Rushan Lawrence. I am curious to know if he's going to be starting next to Devin Eastern on that
Mm,
interior defensive line. He's an All-American at the FCS level. Gophers they've been finding some studs at the FCS. I mean, Jack Henderson, Jack Gibbons, Max Brosmer, like they've been finding some dudes. And two of those three dudes I just named are probably going to be in the NFL. Maybe all three if Jack Henderson can grind it. I think Rushawn Lawrence is the next dude that finds a ton of success here, but Jalen Logan Redding is also on that interior
yeah,
next to him. So it's like, I think that trio, like, I don't know who starts. I think it's probably Dev, and I don't know who it is between the other two. Probably Jalen Logan Redding because PJ is loyal as hell.
yeah,
But regardless, I think that he's going to be nasty, and I'm really excited to see how much he turns it up at the Big Ten level.
yeah. I like that.
All right, longest show on the date so far. So hopefully y'all are tapping in. I didn't even know if we were gonna make it this long. We kind of were vibing with this one. Less notes, more just vibing. Hopefully you liked it. Hopefully if you didn't, we'll get better. If you did,
Yeah, just
we'll keep
listen
going.
next week. We'll be better. Just keep
Yeah,
listening
yeah.
next week.
Just
It'll
keep
all be good.
listening. You can hate listen if you need to.
Yep.
Just if you're gonna hate listen, don't leave a review. If you love it, leave a 5-star review wherever you find your podcast. Appreciate y'all for tapping in. Roll the boat, Scotty Mago Gophers, as always, and please don't forget to hit subscribe.